Well, welcome to the second edition of White Space. My name is Bill Boyle. We have Max Smolaks and Peter Judge with us today. And we're going to start off with Peter, and it's Rackspace time, I hear.
Oh yes, this week it's been all about events and getting out to see data centres open. Finally I got to go to one. And Rackspace has an interesting data centre in Crawley, which was opened by a Conservative MP.
Ooh, controversial.
Yes.
Well, it is general election time, so.
Yes, a Conservative MP who says he now understands PUE so well that if he's not re-elected, he's going to get his job application into Rackspace. Now, readers in Crawley in the UK, this may affect your voting one direction or another. But the other takeaway from this is that it is clearly true that when people say PUE is easy to understand, it clearly is.
Yeah, it's not rocket science.
Yep. Even MPs can understand it. So that's good. But as to the data centre itself, it's good. It's got 4 halls. 2 of them are occupied at the moment, and that's a total of 6 megawatts of power. Could go to 12 megawatts if the other 2 get occupied, or sorry, when the other 2 get occupied. And to save space and streamline it, all the power and cooling is on the roof, and this has no mechanical chillers, which Rackspace says is the first time that's been done in a large data centre in the British Isles. So if you know different, let us know, but otherwise we'll let that one stand. And they are proud of the way they've built it so that the air and the power comes down the middle of the hall and out to these contained cold aisles. It's a slight sort of tweak on the way other data centres have been designed, and Rackspace is sharing that with the open compute.
That's interesting. How much of an experiment is that? I mean, surely the Rackspace aren't going to leave that much to chance, are they?
Yeah,
so
and it's being built by Digital Realty, who are very experienced in this. Digital and Rackspace have been building data centres together in Australia and I believe the US, so they're expanding to another continent with this and doing it slightly different to how they've done before. I don't think those two have put the elements together in quite that configuration before.
So it's no raised floors, right?
No raised floors, all concrete.
Mm-hmm. And I think, because usually people use it for small data centers, because essentially you need to keep a huge area cool, right? You need to keep it cold. Essentially, your cold aisle is the entire data center, except for these little islands of hot aisle.
Yeah, that's right. And so it's 24 centigrade in the most of the in walking around most of the space, and 36 centigrade inside the hot aisles. So it's sensible, and that's within the ASHRAE guidelines, and they can do it without using any mechanical chillers, thanks to these nifty X-Cool boxes on the roof. That's a local company, X-Cool.
I mean, and is ASHRAE deliberately pushing up the temperature range to just see how many actual live data centres will, how they'll cope with it?
Yeah, but 24 centigrade is fairly standard. And these are ASHRAE guidelines that came out in 2011. There's a new set of ASHRAE guidelines coming out this year, and we shall see what that changes, though apparently there'll be as much work done on humidity this year.
Right, that'd be interesting.
New data centres and plans for data centres, it's been a big week for that across the British Isles, should we say, because Apple is putting in its application for Galway in Ireland.
Right.
The news there is there's still not a lot of detail about how it's being done, but they've officially refused a suggestion that they should use the waste heat to produce a swimming pool for local people, which would have been nice.
Who's refused? They decided not to. The local authorities stepped in.
One of the local politicians said, interesting, the theme here, politicians starting to understand data centres. One of the local politicians said, you're going to have some waste heat, why don't you build a public swimming pool and heat it with your waste heat?
Excellent idea. Great idea, isn't it? Wow. Swimming in your local data centre. Could be better.
Yes, That's right, especially if it's a big data lake.
EMC finally get trendy.
Yes.
So what happened then? You said it didn't happen though.
Yeah, they just said they had no plans to reuse the waste heat. Basically, because I think in Ireland, waste heat reuse, district heating systems isn't so well advanced as it is in Scandinavian countries. Apple's also planning to build a data centre in Denmark, and we understand they are plugging that into an existing district heat system. So they're reusing the heat there. But in Ireland, it would have involved too much capital cost of actually, building something to do with the heat.
So in Ireland, it was possibly a swimming pool. In Norway, a sauna.
Denmark, but yes.
Denmark, right? Okay. Well, I think we should campaign. We should launch a campaign for that swimming pool.
Swimming pools and data centers.
Yeah, but I mean, yes, that's England, Ireland. We also have in Scotland, in Fife, there's a data centre worth £100 million that's got approval that will be entirely powered by on-site, basically virtually on-site generation from a local wood pulp biomass project, which is interesting and important and has really good green credentials.
This isn't general election biomass then?
It's Scotland's
I hear there's loads of that in Scotland at the moment.
It is Scotland's largest data centre, or will
That's
be.
that sounds a huge deal, isn't it?
And then NGD, that beautiful data centre in Wales, which has added 5 more halls, or has got plans to add 5 more halls. So, interesting, and in one way or another, every one of them's got some green credentials.
And all of this is on the website, guys and gals.
Yes, yes. Do particularly look at the Rackspace picture where you can see the MP gazing at his possible future employer at Rackspace.
But for how long?
Yeah, could be very soon. A couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Now, Max, what do you have for us?
Yes, Coraid is dead.
Who's Coraid?
Coraid is a storage startup which has been going way back. They were founded in 2000. So it's like, it's sort of like, it's weird to call them a startup, but a startup they were. They got about 135 million in finance, and now they've closed the door, shut down the website, and said goodbye. Well, they didn't, not really. So basically the technology is still good. So the founder of the company and the chief scientist is launching something very, very similar. It's basically the concept of ATA over Ethernet. And he's working with that and trying to bring that to Linux, but now in the shape of software. It is already a part of Linux, but basically, so put this software-defined networking, put this software-defined storage thingamajig on white boxes and basically make them do the same things that Coraid arrays used to do. Now, why I know Coraid is because they used to take this giant Lego sculpture around the exhibitions all over the world, and I've seen it at least twice, once in London, and I remember it very well. And again, it's on the site, and it's sort of like the only memento we have from the days of Coraid.
Is that what bankrupted them, the giant Lego sculpture?
Did they neglect to make any technology?
Possibly. No, they did launch several servers, and apparently the reception was good. So I guess the consensus is we don't really know what went wrong. Something on the sales side, because the technology is still strong, and obviously the people who developed the technology still believe in it. So it's 130 million later.
Well.
Anyway, the new company is going to be. It was actually founded last year, so it's going to be very interesting to follow that and see if they manage to lift this concept off the ground in the same way.
Excellent. Oh, me.
And you, it's you, Bill. Tell us, Bill. Tell us the excitement.
Oh well, the excitement was absolutely rife. That's not the right one, is it? It was huge until yesterday afternoon when Amazon Web Services revealed their final figures. What was really interesting, actually, doing the initial story was because we didn't know until this morning, late last night, what the figures would actually be, were just how secret some of the public cloud figures are, because attempting to find them, we get consistently different figures across the whole given of estimates.
Yes. We know Amazon is in the lead, but we didn't know by how much because they never said what their actual web cloud revenue was.
Precisely, and
Exactly.
Google, we were told by 4 or 5 analysts, had 30% they had a share of a 30% share, which we still don't know exactly how much that is. I mean, I can't believe it's still down to 4 or 5%, but they say it's not more than 6%. And then the figure turned out to be, a massive 5 billion. It's Amazon Web Services is a 5 billion business. 1.57 billion in this quarter alone.
That's 5 billion in cloud infrastructure.
Yes, alone.
But Microsoft says it's doing 6 billion in cloud, doesn't it?
So where did they get
IBM is
from?
doing something similar in the area of 6 billion. Yeah.
So in terms of percentage, that puts them almost at the bottom, but still the most profitable.
But yes, but Microsoft can say it's doing that much cloud business, even though it's actually doing less real cloud infrastructure.
And selling lots of other stuff that you have to buy, which then inflates the sales figures.
'Cause
Or certainly muddies the waters anyway.
I've read somewhere that before Amazon announced its results, technically by revenue, IBM Software was the largest public cloud company
That's
in the
right.
world,
Yeah.
which is weird and wonderful because they've been under IBM wing just for since 2013, and I mean the only thing they pretty much did was just open loads and loads and loads of data centers everywhere.
So far IBM's given them lots of money to expand and hasn't done anything else that might
And
damage
that's
it.
and that's sort of like that generated its own hype. I think
Yeah.
people come to
Yeah.
IBM just because of this giant expansion plan. Because if you're spending $1 billion and popping up things everywhere, maybe it's worth a try. And they're offering 1 month free. So there is literally you can try it, no risk. Like if you don't like it.
Well, stop the camera, I'll go and buy some cloud.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, Amazon shares went up by 6% yesterday. So that's a cool $414 per share. So Jeff Bezos, you can't lose. I mean, you say you're going to announce spectacular figures. You say you're going to be valued at X, and you make the announcement, and you're valued even more. So I do think we need to. I'd like to get into more detail in the figures in the future, but exactly what. So maybe we could even do a little regular spot when we could do some more digging about it, because there's certainly a little bit. It's cloudy. The figures are cloudy. I think that's about it from us for this week.
Yeah. Enjoy your week till next time.
Have a good weekend, and we'll see you next week.